boy, stop being lazy. Yeah, and I became creative. And I learned how to create it. And now that pride's for me. So come see. Oh, come eat.
Welcome back to the Silver Lining Podcast. I am your host, Sterlington, and this is our co-host, Cam. What's going on with you, Cam? How you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic, man. I am looking forward to this upcoming Sunday. We have a divisional matchup between us and the Carolina Panthers in Charlotte. Should be a good game, man. I'm excited. How about you?
Brother, I'm excited about it. This is one of them games that as a Falcon fan, we're a little traumatized. We've been through some shit with this team, so we can't go into this game just relaxed. But I'm excited because when I take my emotions out of it, I think I got some good news for us coming up this week. Coming off a big game last week with the Vikings, smoked them on the road in front of the whole country, and I think we're about to build off that this week, man.
Absolutely, man. I'm looking forward to it. I am looking forward to it. We have I'm looking forward to see how the Falcons build on this. Because we had a great game, especially defensively, on the defensive side of the ball. I think as a team, we had 4 turnovers, three on defense, 1 on special teams.
Yep.
So I'm looking to see how we build on this.
We also took on 6 sacks. Yeah. Took on 6 sacks, control a running game. Like, we pretty much thoroughly dismantled them, except for that one big play they hit to Jefferson that gave up points. I don't think how they score the other 3? Did they actually drive for that? Like a substantial amount of yardage? Because special teams was all over it last week too. So
yeah, they had one drive where they kind of got close and they kind of just stalled out. They pretty much had 2 drives very similar to that.
Yeah.
So we'll take that back. One was off of the fumble, and then the other one was off of the
off of the Drake one. There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Because I was like, ain't no way them boys went full length of the field. So look, I think it's something we got to acknowledge before we even start talking about the game is the defense that we saw last weekend real? Is that like, or is it just a flash in the pan? Did we take advantage of a bad quarterback, or like, is this team just a good team?
Hey, I'm starting to believe in Jeff Ulbrich because now he has 2 games under his belt, and truth be told, our defense looked pretty good in both of those games. Now, we were playing against a high caliber quarterback in Baker Mayfield, and he was able to put together a game-winning drive when it mattered the most. But hey, man, what we hold him to 24 points. It wasn't like they
23.
just blew us out of 23 points. It wasn't like they just blew us out of the water. It was a very close game, and for the most part, their offense wasn't really able to find rhythm. I believe their top rusher in the game was Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, top rusher,
and that was mainly off scrambles. So, that's something I want to be mindful of going into this week. Bryce Young is a young quarterback as well. I know he's going to scramble a lot, especially considering I know we're going to get into this later, but he's had some injuries on his O-line, so the protection isn't quite there, especially this early into the season.
No, we can get into it now.
Hell. Yeah, of course. So yeah,
some big injuries coming into this one. Yeah,
some pretty big injuries like Austin Corbett, their starting center. Grade 3 MCL sprain. He will not be playing. He might be out for the season if we're being honest.
If we being honest, like like, yo, grade 3, like with strains and sprains, those are tears.
Yeah.
And like once you hit grade 3, it's like, well, no, that's a torn, whatever that is, not a strained one. You know what
exactly. So he will be missing some time for the foreseeable future. And then Robert Hunt, their starting right guard, torn bicep. He will be out for the season as well. So 2 centerpieces on their offensive line are missing time. So we need to take advantage of that. We need to capitalize on that. But also for us, if we're being honest, on our defensive side of the ball, we're missing AJ Terrell.
Yeah.
And I noticed how we took our foot off the gas a little bit in the second half when he was out of the game because we didn't have that lockdown corner.
I
We were
do have a
still,
question though.
yeah. Okay.
Do you think we took our foot off the gas because we didn't have a lockdown corner, or because we didn't have a lockdown corner, and the receiver on the other side was goddamn Justin Jefferson?
Uh, I think it's a little bit of both.
Because the reason I bring up Justin Jefferson is I'm like, hey, look, I don't know if the Falcons gonna take their foot off the gas if they don't have a weapon like Justin Jefferson on the other side. You know what I'm saying? Now, don't get me wrong. I know the Panthers. They drafted Ted McMillan, but um, Xavier Legette he's looked like a steaming pile right now.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
looked pretty terrible. Now, far be it from me as a Falcon fan of over 20 plus years to think, oh boy, this dude's been sucking it up. I mean, stinking it up, and he's playing the Falcons, and he's gonna keep stinking it up. No, I've learned better than to take that for granted over these years, because that will be the get right game for anybody.
Which
But
is why I'm concerned. I'm
yeah,
concerned considering. All right, let me ask you a question.
yeah,
Let's say AJ Terrell don't play, right? Raheem said he's week to week. We saw the severity of that
you know that
hammy.
boy out, yeah.
He ain't playing this week. So who CB1?
Uh, Mike Hughes or it's probably Mike Hughes. Um, I hope that the corner that comes in for AJ Terrell is Natron, right? I think Natron would struggle with Ted McMillan's size, because obviously, let's be real. They didn't draft a guy number 8 overall over another obviously glaring need in pass rusher to not use him. He had 6 catches for 100 yards last game. I don't know how much of that came in garbage time when the game was already getting away from the Panthers. But I do remember scouting Tech McMillan a little in college, and I mean he's an impressive receiver. He's 6'4", but he can scoot. You know what I'm saying? Like I know a lot of people wanted to compare him to Drake London. I'm like, people just look at body types and whether or not a guy light skinned or not, and just say, oh, these guys the same. Like I'm like, Drake London doesn't really remind me of Mike Evans, who was a guy that people like to compare him to. And I don't really think Ted McMillan, if anything, Ted McMillan probably reminds me a little more of Mike Evans, which does bring some pause because Mike Evans has had a pretty decent amount of success with us. Um, but I mean, look, if we being real, I think it comes down to all right, without AJ Terrell, I'm a lot more nervous about what we have in that DB room. But at the same time, with the Panthers having injuries right up front, ask yourself this: when you're talking about a 5'10", 5'11" quarterback, what's if I say, hey, what's one of the worst places you can have a quarterback that short getting pressure? It's right up the middle.
Mm-hmm.
And need I remind you, the Falcons, we and look, I know we had the one game where we had the 6 sacks. We got pressure on Baker, right?
We did. We did.
It wasn't like we went into that game. We just we didn't do anything in that first game. Then we took advantage of a team with a young quarterback and O-line injuries, and boom, we did all our damage against them. Like honestly, the thing about when you were talking about Jeff Ulbrich and whether or not we need to buy into that, I'm saying to myself, well, I mean, there's something there. If we being honest now, the biggest difference between the game against the Vikings and the game against the Bucks was that we finished. When with the Bucks, we got like 4 passes that we got hands on and didn't catch any of them.
Mm-hmm.
This game, we caught 2 of them, right? And look, the Xavier Watts one was all right, easy enough, an overthrow. That Billy Bowman one, he had to make a football play to get that pick. You know what I'm saying? And those were the kind of plays where we had 4 chances for a football play, and we dropped them against Baker. And then, Baker being Baker, he's an escape artist. We saw it on Monday night. That's how Baker gets down. You know what I'm saying? He knows how to escape. And you know, based off our game last year, Bryce Young was good at escaping, but I think this defense could be way more aggressive. And I think with the injuries the Panthers have on the O line, that's going to cause some serious issues for them. And I think that's going to be able to really help our coverage. I think the main thing is that for us, we need to really lean more on getting pressure as opposed to trying to sit back and get coverage. I think if we're not getting pressure on Bryce Young, this gets to be that game where Bryce Young starts to get his shit together, right?
And
Um,
I am worried about that. We are going into Charlotte. The Panthers are 0-2. Truth be told, I watched that Cardinals Panthers game. They look like crap for 3 quarters.
yeah,
No, the only reason it was even remotely close is because Kyler Murray, I believe he fumbled the ball. I think he had an interception as well. Or I could be misremembering that. It was this past Sunday, but I know he had a turnover, and the Cardinals pretty much let them back into the game.
yeah,
It really wasn't a close game. They
yeah.
were getting outplayed, and granted, his stats look good, but they were garbage time stats to get them into the game.
Empty
So
calories, as they call them.
empty calorie stats, exactly. Couldn't have phrased it better myself. So we should win this game, but at the same time, you can never count out the Panthers. It is a division rival, so you never know. Anything can happen. I'm just hoping we don't come out flat. That's like the last thing we can have, and I'm worried about how we're gonna match up on like wide receiver wise, especially because our DB room is kind of thin. Like AJ Terrell is our clear cut number one, and then number two could honestly be anybody. It could honestly be anybody.
Yeah, a
So
little
we're
bit.
gonna have somebody step up. So I am concerned about that, but the fact that they're losing, they have lost their starting center and starting right guard. I'm thinking we can produce enough pressure, enough pass rush to really throw off Bryce Young. So I am optimistic on that front.
I'm optimistic on that, and I think the other thing too that makes me optimistic is, yo, bro, the Panthers have not been able to run the ball.
Oh yes, I was
The
actually going to bring
Panthers,
that up too.
bro, the Panthers have had one of the most pathetic run offenses in the NFL this year so far. It's only 2 games. They got a whole season to turn it around. They gonna need it because they've been so bad in these first 2 games. I'm like, shit, man. Y'all gonna have to show me something. And then you telling me, oh, okay, they got 2 injuries on the interior O line. That's gonna make that run game better. And then I'm like, it's only been 2 games, but the Falcons kind of been trotting out a top 10 run defense.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And so like the Bucks could not get anything going. By the way, Bucks got some more O-line injuries cooking in too. I know Cody Mock just went out for the year, I think. Their right guard. And Kalijah Cansey went on IR for a minute. Not that that'll affect us because I'm pretty sure he'll be back before then unless he's hurt still. But yo, Panthers cannot run the ball. Panthers are going against a team like us who I gotta admit, I thought we were gonna struggle sometimes. I didn't think it was just gonna be, a high school team versus a pro team as far as getting blown off the ball. But I really thought that there were gonna be times where teams is just gonna be able to tear off some long runs because we're trying to get upfield. And then they were going to have times where they struggled. Sorry, I'm getting a little distracted. They're gonna have times where they maybe put the other team behind the sticks because they get a big play in the backfield and put them behind the sticks. But no, these guys have been extremely aggressive in their run fits. Um, they've been holding up at the line of scrimmage. Like they've been doing everything they needed to do to be a fundamentally sound defense. And they've been putting the clamps on guys so far. And look, we know the Bucks want to run the ball. We thought the Vikings should have wanted to run the ball. But maybe the reason they switched to more of a pass happy attack is because of how good we were stopping the run. You know what I'm saying? It's hard to stick to the run when, damn, we ran on first down, second down, it's third and long now. And so when I look at the Panthers and their inability to run the ball, Bryce Young still turning the ball over. injuries in the immediate front, um, I feel like this is a team we could push around. Now, the other thing that does give me a little pause is as bad as the Panthers have been, both of those games were on the road. Psst. Hey Cam, you seeing this shit?
Oh yeah, I think I am. What is that?
That's a person watching this podcast that hasn't subscribed. Subscribe. The button's down below. Right? So both of those games were from
Mm-hmm.
home, but at the same time, the one game we won was on the road in prime time in an extremely hostile environment. I don't think I'm I don't really feel like I'm that much more impressed by the Panthers than I am by the Vikings.
No, you're right. You're right.
I
I'm
mean,
thinking,
offensively,
yeah,
we'll get the defense in a second, but offensively, I don't feel like the Panthers are as impressive. I mean, I don't feel like Bryce Young's a little better than JJ McCarthy. I give him that, but I don't feel like anything the Panthers tried out there is something that's worse than what we've seen the last 2 weeks.
yeah, yeah. I'd say right now the Panthers are probably out of the two teams we faced, about to be the third. The Panthers are by far the worst team. Like if you look at the entire roster, so this should be a winnable game for us. But at the same time, we do fall back into our old ways. And I really need to see something this game to show me that we can get over that hump and we
Yeah.
can win the winnable games consistently win the winnable games.
Look, I think last Sunday did a lot for my personal confidence in the team. I know how I feel about certain players and how I feel about certain teams and how I feel like it's supposed to go. And then I know my team, the Falcons. And I'm like, man, I can't trust these boys. But look, the fact of the matter was, I felt like McCarthy was overrated, overhyped. No disrespect to McCarthy. I think that term overrated is used in a derogatory way too often. Overrated just mean that, people rate you here and when really you're yeah, that don't mean that you trash. All right. JJ McCarthy's young. He missed all of his rookie year. This is only his second game. Not gonna shit on the guy. But I'm not impressed by JJ McCarthy. That's just the facts of the matter. And I'm like, look, let's just show what he really is. All right. And that's what we did. And I think when we go in this game and face the Panthers, we got to make it a point to not let them get explosive, right? And, just not let them get Ted McMillan off. Basically same thing as last week. We said, hey, don't let Justin Jefferson go off and, run the ball a little. And speaking of running the ball, it's time to flip over to the other side and how our offense is going to perform against their defense.
Mm-hmm.
Bro, I don't know what to make of the Panthers run D because, like, they kind of put the clamps on the Cardinals. Honestly, that's probably the reason why that game got back close. Because the Cardinals could not run the ball against the Panthers. But that first game, boy, Travis Etienne had him a good game against them. Even when he had a 71-yard rush touchdown. Even if you take away the 71-yard rush touchdown, he still rushed for like 5 yards a carry. Now the Jags turned out to be one of the best rushing teams in the league. After our 200-yard performance, we one of the top, but it's like, are we one of the top? Because just like I can't tell what to make of the Panthers run D, I can't tell what to make of the Falcons run O. Like, we know what we saw against Tampa. It was mid. It was mediocre. We would look bad running the ball. We had nothing. And then we went back to the drawing board and like, we ran all over Minnesota. But Minnesota wanted to stay in that too high look, keep 7 in the box. I'm like, well, you want to keep 7 against the box. Hell, we can run against that. So I guess that's another thing that comes from the Panthers side of things. Ejiro Evero, he like to run that. I guess he's more of a cover 3 guy, but I've been hearing they've been running a lot more cover 2. And if they run that cover 2 with those 2 high looks, 2 high safety looks, I mean, shit, I think we know what we got to do, right?
Hey, feed 7.
Feed 7. Yeah. Feed Algier. Feed 25. You know, because that was one of the things I like that we did in the last game. I felt like once we wore him out with Bijan, then we hit him with the hammer.
Oh
You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? We hit him with
baby.
Algier.
Oh yeah, man.
Yeah, and that's crazy that we lucked up in the 2 stars. You know, it's Algier last year on the under contract anyway.
I'm hoping we resign him, man. I feel like that it really does help Bijan eat when you have that two back system, especially in today's NFL. Look at Detroit; they have
Yeah,
David Montgomery and Jameer Gibbs. We kind of have something similar.
and I think the other thing too, when you talk about Algier, is that you got two different style of backs, right? Like Bijan is he's a pretty much an all around back. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
215-pound guy. He can cut, break tackles, do the whole nine. Algier is a little more in that 220, 225 range. And he's a thumper. And he's a
Hmm.
bowling ball. They break tackles in very different ways, but they both do it in a way that's pretty physical and it's tough on the defense. And I think I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Look, the Panthers are a team that always scare me because I just can never forget seeing Derek Brown ragdoll around Chris Lindstrom and push around Drew Dahlman and he doing whatever the fuck he want to do. And then Brian Burns out there against Caleb McGarry and he doing whatever the fuck he want to do. I know Brian Burns didn't even play for them last year. In the second game where we lost, Derek Brown was not in the game. He was out for the year. So I'm just, it's those memories, just watching like those guys get thrown around like that. That's not an easily forgotten memory, right? So when I see that, and honestly, the Panthers have been playing fairly aggressive. I guess the main thing now is just to figure out, all right, is Zach Robinson gonna know how to call the defense against them? Is he gonna know how to implement his offense to deal with Derek Brown being there? Now, the reason why I bring up Derek Brown, why I'm putting all that emphasis, is because if we being honest, Zach Robinson ain't had no problem scoring against the Panthers.
He hasn't. He hasn't,
He
man.
ain't had no problem scoring against the Panthers. Boy, I think we scored over 30 points a game in both games.
Both of them last year. Yep.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, Zach Robinson, he ain't got no problems scoring against them, right? So at that point, it's like, shit, this game come down to the usual suspects. All right. We talking about, hey, don't turn the ball over. Just don't give Carolina nothing to hang their hat on in this game, man.
That's the thing, man. We can't leave any meat on the bone, brother.
God, because like last week, we went 1 for 5 in the red zone. I felt like that was the one blemish on Zach Robinson. I know apparently a lot of people were upset about the game plan, but I thought it was good because let's be real. I know there's a lot of trepidation about us running, a lot as many plays as we do out of a pistol formation, right? One of the highest rated teams in running that formation. We never run under center. A lot of fans hate it. They think it contributes to offensive ineptitude. And for me, the biggest issue was that it was almost like a telegraph of how much we run and when we're not running because we don't run a lot of play action. We barely ran play action last game. I think we only ran 4 plays out of with play action. So when we line up in the pistol, other team know what it is. If they see pistol, they know we running the ball. But that boy Zach Robinson said, "Hey, we can and we will run this damn ball out of pistol, and I'm gonna show y'all." And now, honestly, if we could run the ball like that, then I don't care if we in pistol.
I'm saying, man, like people talk about formation, this formation, that. If we're getting results, I can live with it, man. I do not care.
Look, that was the biggest reason my biggest issue personally with us being in pistol. It had nothing to do with the formation itself. I'm like, hey, look, it was just the fact that I feel like I gotta think too hard about whether or not we a good offense. I'm like, well, shit. If we running this all the time and we ain't scoring all the time, well, it sounds like that we got a problem with the offense. You know what I'm saying? We didn't score a bunch. We only scored, like I said, 1 for 5 in the red zone. Only scored 22 points. And red zone is always a beast in and of its own. But I think this is one of those games that's like the Vikings game where We can play keep away even if we don't. And I don't want us to do this, but I think we can reasonably expect to beat this team in a game similar to the game that we played last week, as long as we do a lot of the things we did last week, which, we got a ton of pressure, right? We played tight, sticky coverage, but also we won the turnover battle, what, 4-1?
We did,
Yeah,
because the only turnover was the Drake fumble.
yeah. So, and look, I think one of the biggest uh things that gives me some confidence when I talk about going into the next game is that when I say when I look at just the turnover battle in general, I'm like, look, man, that boy Penix still doesn't really turn the ball over.
And I can live with that, man. That's half the battle, man.
It
Not
really
put
is. Bryce Young turned the ball over in both games this year. Got 4 turnovers already. 4 turnovers. All right. Like hell,
Penix still has 0.
the Bennett's got a goose egg. I'm like, hey, just keep doing that. Just keep not turning the ball over. Get that pressure, force bad decisions. Because one of the things I'm looking forward to too. Let's be real now. The game against us last year was a big source of confidence for the Panthers and for Bryce Young. Panthers fans was talking shit all off season, and they basically they hung all of their hopes about the Panthers offense this year based off that game they saw at the end of last year.
Oh my God, yeah, that's all we've been hearing, man.
Oh my
The
God.
way he torched the Falcons, yeah, it's Bryce Young, and that's why I'm worried because I'm sure he's thinking that, hey, this is gonna be my get right game.
Exactly. And so that's where Jeff Ulbrich, I'm really looking for him to come forward and just say, hey man, all that shit that happened last year, that ain't happening this year.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I'm calling the plays now. I ain't doing none of that shit Jimmy was doing. But see, that's where you get a little nervous about having AJ out. Because now with Terrell out, it's like, oh, not so fast. Look like we all going to have to run quite a bit of zone, actually. Bryce know what to do when he gets zoned a little bit. So yeah, we're gonna have to be as they like to say, multiple on offense when it comes to that kind of stuff. So woo, think it's time to go ahead and run through those things that we want to run through as far as Cam. How the Falcons winning this game?
We win this game by establishing the run early and running often. We gotta really establish the tempo in that regards. We gotta really establish our presence, make it known that we gonna run this ball all damn day long. Also, too, you mentioned it before. We gotta limit the turnovers. We have to win the turnover battle. Michael Penix has been great. He has a goose egg right now. We got to keep it that way. Um, just no costly penalties, man. Like last week, I'd say between our defense and special teams, they left no meat on that bone. They clean they plates.
Yeah.
They clean that plates, especially on in the special team coverages. Like that stuff matters, man. Field position matters. I think at one point they were either starting at the 20-25 repeatedly last week. So yeah, man. Special teams needs to have a good game like they had last week. I know it's an unsung job. No, you don't really get a lot of credit, but I'm gonna give you credit. They played well last week, and we need them to play well again this week. Defensively, we gotta. It's gonna be hard. It's gonna be hard considering we're not gonna have AJ, but we're gonna have to find a way to replicate what we did last week this week. We played another young QB, and Bryce Young can absolutely be had. So we're gonna have to get some pressure on his face, make him uncomfortable, limit his scrambles, because that's if we're gonna lose, it's because of that shit right there.
Yep.
They find a way to continue to prolong drives,
Yep.
inch the way down the field and take away time and like eat up the clock because Bryce Young on like a 3rd and 10 or 3rd and 8, 3rd and 12 finds a way to avoid the pressure and scramble for like a 15-yard gain. I can already kind of see it. It's happened before.
Yeah.
It happened in It happened in week 1. Luckily,
It happened in week 1. I was just about to say, it happened. You can see it because you can remember
yeah,
it.
we nipped that shit in the bud last week, but this week, hell, we could revert back.
But
Who
you got to
knows?
see if old habits. Old habits die hard, man.
And it's gonna be hard, especially when we don't have AJ. So I
Yeah.
am concerned about that. But with them missing, they starting center and right guard. I feel like we gonna eat. I feel like we gonna eat,
Yo.
baby. I feel
Hey,
like we gonna
somebody
eat.
fire Sean Witherspoon. Time to pull up the spoon because we about to eat.
Yeah, yeah. Also, and like a big thing too, Parker Romo got to eat, got to cook again. Because I feel
Yeah.
like, especially with our offense, like right now, we're still trying to figure out the kinks. We haven't quite
Yeah.
gotten it right in the red zone, so we will be kicking field goals, and he needs to make them. But he looks good. I'm thinking he's gonna have confidence going into week 3. So I'm optimistic that Parker Romo is gonna be play well as well. Will play well too. So I think that's pretty much the keys, man. What about you? What you thinking?
So look, man, you hit a lot of the good things. I think we need to run the ball. I think, but more importantly than run the ball, I think we need to exploit what advantage is given us, right? The Panthers watched the game last week too. They saw how we ran the ball last week too. They saw how Tampa stopped us from running the ball, and really we had a big explosive play in the first quarter, and that was kind of our explosive play in the past game. But outside of that, we were kind of meh on offense in the first game. I think the Panthers want to go ahead and put the kibosh on that. And so I think the biggest thing for us is that we be adaptable. This is a team that last year we put up a lot of points on, and we put up a lot of points on them through the air, right? If they saw what they saw last week, they might want to stop that. And look, they got the same defensive coordinator. They got most of the same pieces on defense. Main thing is that they're getting Derek Brown back this time. He's going to be there. And they got 2 young edges that they're going to be playing. So those are probably the things. If we get looks where it's more favorable for us to run against, we need to run and we need to be successful in those situations. And then when we talk about favorable looks in the pass game, obviously we need to throw and we need to be successful in those situations. Also, when we talk about the wide receiver and corner matchups, we need to win our one-on-ones on the outside. We can't keep being in positions where Penix is getting immediate pressure and guys aren't open. That's going to come open partially to Zach Robinson. That's going to come open to our receivers getting open and us making the reads quick enough. And when you talk about the turnover battle, the reason turnover battle is super important in this is because football in general, but also, Tua has had a problem turning the ball over this year. I mean, not
I was about to say, you mean Bryce?
He's also had a problem turning the ball over this year, but I'm talking about Bryce Young. Bryce Young's had a problem turning the ball over this year. We've only had 1 turnover this whole year. It's so far as the years progressed, that's shown to be a strength for us. Not turning the ball over, shown to be a weakness for them. We got to make sure that we ain't the get right game for them. All right, we can't start turning the ball over because we're playing the Panthers. We also got to be aggressive and force our turnovers, right? So we got to play sticky coverage. Right now, the main thing is that we want to keep Ted McMillan under control. I don't, I expect him to get something. You know what I'm saying? He's a talented receiver. But and we are down AJ Terrell. Like that can't be understated. You down your guy. Like you would have put AJ Terrell on Ted McMillan. I say, hey, they'll have to figure out how to get guys open now because I know that Ted McMillan ain't getting open. All right. The other thing too is when you talk about the run game, this cannot be the game that the Panthers start figuring out how to run the ball.
Couldn't agree more.
This can't be the game. All right. You better make the Panthers figure that shit out next week. This got to be a game where we put the clamps on the run. Get him in 3rd and long situations, just like they've been doing. And Bryce is showing you that he is going to give you the ball. All right. And so I think those parts of the game are pretty much the main thing. I think, take advantage of the matchups, win the turnover battle. Don't let the Panthers get the run game going. And I think everything else will fall in place. All right. So What's your score prediction?
Man, I'm cautiously optimistic, man. Everybody's drinking the Kool-Aid. I see everybody Falcons this, Falcons that. I'm like, I know my team. I know my team. So a part of me want to be like, hey, watch us be the get right game for these bums. But I'm a believer. So I'm gonna say this the game our offense gets all the way right. Not all the way right, but our offense is on the path to getting right. We start really seeing our offense come to form. I say this to be the first game this year we scored 30 points. I say 33-17.
All right. I was it's hilarious you picked that because I was actually angling or leaning towards 34-17. But then I thought about it, and I'm gonna give the Panthers a little credit. They got whooped by Jacksonville, but they held Jacksonville to 26. They got handled at least early by the Cardinals. They held Cardinals to 27. So since they did 26 and 27, I think it's time for us to score 28.
I
And
like it. I like
so
it.
I like us to score 20, even though that would imply 4 touchdowns and no field goals. Maybe, maybe not. We'll see. But I like us to score 28, and I think we'll hold the Panthers to an average amount. So I'll say 28-17. You know what I'm saying? I know you picked 17. It's just hard not to pick like a round number. It's like, all right, 2 touchdowns and a field goal. But
Exactly.
honestly,
Exactly.
no, matter of fact, no. Put my big boy pants on. 28-13. Falcons
Okay.
on the road. Division opponent. We're running out of time though. So anything you want to say before we get out of here, Cam?
It's been a pleasure, my boy.
All right. Well, look, y'all heard it here first. And if you didn't hear it here first, you should have listened first. Appreciate you spending some time with us. Really enjoy it every time. Enjoy every person who interacts with the podcast. Please like, subscribe, share, comment, hit the little bell. We want to hit some real niggas uploading. Peace.